Like, God, I want it yesterday.
Yes, then now you're filling yourself with frustration, and that frustration turns into anger.
And now you're in like,
the anger
let me
is
just
like,
go do this myself.
and now you want to sustain yourself. You're like, let me just do it, because like,
Yes.
God, clearly you're not helping me.
You're clearly not
You're
helping
clearly
me.
not helping me, right? Because I know what I need right now. You're clearly not doing
How
it.
dare you talk to him like that? That's
So
crazy.
let me go do what I gotta do on my own time. Okay, we are good.
Okay,
did it.
this feels good.
This is better for
This
you?
feels a lot better.
Okay. So, welcome to,
What are you gonna call it?
I don't know. All right, welcome to our channel. We appreciate y'all for clicking on the video.
As you can tell by the title.
Yeah. Don't do that.
I'm just kidding.
That's what you hear from other people's videos. Like
As you can tell by the title.
as you can tell by the
today's
title.
vlog is gonna be.
Today we're just chatting about what would we tell our year one selves of marriage.
Yes. Now we've been married for 4 years.
Yeah.
Our marriage is so untraditional, and so we were just thinking back to the beginning of it all,
Yes.
because we are currently facing that same predicament right now.
We're in a loop.
We're in a loop. We're breaking the loop though. What we would tell our year one selves of marriage: submit the marriage to God.
Yes. Submit your marriage to God. We were so focused on everybody else's perception. We were so focused on everybody else's like voice.
Yeah.
There was so much chaos. When we both were coming into marriage, I had an entrepreneurship kind of mindset. So when we jumped in, we were like, you know, I'm going to be doing music. Well, I had already went through so much from like exiting from the idea of a job.
Yes.
And that whole endeavor. So I was facing my struggles, my hardships of like dream chasing, like, you know, being young and just chasing your dream and just not fitting in school, not fitting in at a job.
Okay.
So from like going through that, the ebbs and flows of that, finally reaching a point where I'm like, okay, God, every time I get a job, I never feel good in it.
You get that inkling.
Yes, I never feel
Get that
good.
inkling.
I never can find peace in it.
Yeah.
And I'm always leaving. Like it's just not for me, right? But I also didn't have enough faith to believe in God to sustain me outside of a job either, within entrepreneurship and business. So I wrestled with that leading up into the marriage. So when we finally got married, I was like pretty much mentally, I was pretty much there.
You
I'm
were
like,
there.
okay, like I believe, like I've trusted God. Because prior to us getting married, you know, I had been like full-time entrepreneurship for about almost a year at that point.
Okay.
You know, like most of that year, like I was pretty much in it. Us getting married, I felt the pressures, right? I felt some pressures of, okay, Rob, you got to like really get this going. But I was fully in on like, yo, I can make this happen as an entrepreneurship. Like I can do it. And I think where things really kind of
Took a turn.
pivoted is just when the outside pressures.
Yeah.
And that's what we would tell ourselves is like, you got to submit we should have submitted our marriage to God in that. Because we went before God, we like prayed. We kind of knew the trajectory of like our marriage and where it was supposed to be headed at.
Yep.
And we were kind of on it, but I think when life's pressures started to come, like
the baby being on the way,
baby being
us
on the way.
trying to make sure that we had a room ready for her,
Yes.
diapers, clothes, things that
Yes.
people were feeding to us,
Yes.
car seat, stroller,
yes,
things that we
And it
weren't
was
thinking
so,
about.
It was so early too.
Early. You're talking 7 months early.
Yes, you were only like 2 months.
Yeah.
And I remember like just feeling so much pressure in that moment.
Yes.
And it's crazy to think about, but it's like you're 2 months pregnant and I'm
Yes.
like, I gotta have all this together
Right now.
right now. Like I need to be able to see the diapers, the stroller, and granted, we don't even know what this baby's gonna need. We're first time parents.
I don't even think did we know that she was a girl or boy yet? I don't think we knew
We
yet.
probably didn't even know it
We probably
yet.
didn't know it. Yeah.
Yeah, but we just had a ton of pressure. We really let that detour us in that season. So from that point, because of this pressure, I'm now applying that energy and that pressure on my career, on my
Yes.
entrepreneurship, on my business, on God. And now I'm misaligning myself because like when you're on a faith journey, especially entrepreneurship, like you got to trust God's timing and you got to trust God's
Absolutely.
pace.
Pace, yes,
God's
absolutely.
timing and God's pace. When you get off that and you got your
Like,
demands,
God, I want it yesterday.
yes, then now you're filling yourself with frustration and that frustration turns into anger.
And now
And
the
now
anger
you're
is
in
like,
the anger
let
is
me just
like,
go do this myself.
and now you want to sustain yourself. You're like, let me just do it. Cause like,
Yes.
God, clearly you're not helping me.
You're clearly not
You're
helping
clearly
me.
not helping me, right? Because I know what I need right now. You're clearly not
How
doing it.
dare you talk to him like that? That's so
So
crazy.
let me go do what I gotta do on
Yes.
my own time.
Yes.
And yeah, so I think that's where I shifted at, and that's where I became misaligned. So it's like, what better way to find control? How can I find control in this situation? How can I sustain us? It was like, okay, I'm gonna get a job, right? So I went backwards. And I talked about that too. Like,
Yeah.
oftentimes when there is just no clarity, everything is dark, and you're trying to find the light in the situation, oftentimes most of the clarity is behind you because you've already been through it. It's already something you've seen. So you start to look backwards because you're like, okay, I do know what it looks like to turn around, to quit, to go back to a job. I know how to apply. I know how to get my resume together, right? But
Wow.
darkness is moving forward into God's plan. Like, it's light, but in your eyes, it's dark because you can't see
Did that
it.
just come up on you right now? I
What
don't
you
think I've ever
mean?
heard you say that before.
Are you being serious?
I'm serious.
But it's God like slowly giving you your daily bread. It's him slowly walking you into that. I just wasn't with that. So the pressures though, like some of the pressures were your family.
My family wanting us to live their lives.
Yes.
The lives of working a comfortable job, getting
Yes.
your biweekly check,
Yep.
paying your bills on time, maintaining your credit, and paying your student loans.
Yep. And I think another aspect was that's really good. I think another aspect, I definitely went into, like, I had conversations with your parents in advance and I had told them like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, like I make music, I write, like I do this, like this is what life is looking like. And it's very promising too. Like I have a history of success and it's only gonna get better. Like I'm just like working this thing. And they were a little apprehensive on it, right? Because you got this young black kid who says he's in the music industry. So I get like the optics of that, right? I get
Yeah.
how that looks. But at the same time, I was just believing in myself. Like I wasn't 100% sure, but I'm like,
This is you walking in your truth.
yes,
This is the
trying
path that
to.
God has already had you on. I'm just letting y'all know that this is what she's about to
Yeah,
get
but I
married
wasn't that
into.
confident though.
Ooh,
I
but
was,
I'm
yes, I
sorry.
should have been.
Right? Like
Right?
your daughter's about to get married into this.
Yes.
I'm just letting y'all know.
I should have.
Not
And
asking.
that's the energy that you need. But I didn't have that energy. It was just like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, and I hope y'all can see it, and maybe y'all support me
We
too.
got it now though, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That was the beginning. That was me kind of like showing them, but I could sense in that moment that they probably really didn't believe it. Like they wanted proof. They wanted evidence. They wanted to see that this thing was working. So I think that was also pressure that I kind of poured into it. So you got baby, you got like trying to seek approval from others, right? Whether it's your parents or not, it's still seeking approval from
yeah.
others. It's fear of man, right? In the Bible, it's fear of man. I got a fear of what they think, or now I'm putting that on God, and now I'm misaligning myself. So I pivoted. I'm like, I gotta go backwards because that's what I can see. I can't see forward, so I'm gonna go backwards to what I know. Now we're misaligning from God and what He had for us. So shortly after, I go into a season of just drought at that point. So now we're panicking, and what's going on in your head?
You know, thinking of it now, wishing how I was back then, I wish I was more confident in what you
In
had
what
going
way?
on. A lot of the pressure did come from, family not seeing us doing anything.
Yeah.
Even though we were doing a lot. I mean, you're working on music every day, and I was, in the background, just kind of supporting, making sure that things were like okay, in a sense of like you were getting your support. I was trying to support as best as I could, but I wish I would have had the confidence, and I would have said to them like, "This is just what it is. Like, we don't need all of this
Yeah.
in our ears telling us what we already know we could do.
Yeah.
Like we know we can go get a job, but this is what Robert has already been doing.
Yeah.
So let's just see what happens. Let's like just wait.
Yeah.
Like what's the rush? Like I wish I would have said that.
Yeah.
But I think at that time I had a little doubt. I'm like, okay, maybe we should be working and then to be transparent, we had gotten a call from the apartment complex and they were like saying like, hey y'all, even though we're new, it's now time to pay rent, and we're 2 months in, and so we're like, okay, let's pay it, but like things are now looking a little bit lower in budget. And so like I don't think I was feeling what you were feeling, and that's another thing, that was another problem. Like I wish I would have felt your pressure too.
Do you think I was being transparent enough during that time?
I don't
my
think
pressures?
I think we were both feeling pressures from them. I was feeling the pressures of student loans, and so you were feeling the pressures of like you need to be bringing money in for your kid and your wife.
Yeah.
So
and I was also aware of the student loans and stuff too. So you were out of school, you graduated.
Yeah,
So
6 months had passed.
student loans were started, and I had took on the weight of like, okay, we're married. I'm going to provide for us financially.
Your dad, my dad, your dad.
I took that on like. Maybe we should talk about like a lot of men don't like that concept, right? Of like, of women bringing in debt and then you feeling I think that's weird for a lot of men, and I think. Like when you become one, it really is yours. And like there's a sense of responsibility you should feel over your wife's debt.
This is why it's so important to have these conversations prior. So that way we're not coming into the marriage with a surprise of like, well, I had no debt. I didn't know you had 60K. Like we need to probably rethink. Like, no, we already talked about how our financial structure will be. Like, I think that is something that I'm glad we did.
I think debt is important to talk about, and I think you should be aware of it. But I don't think that should be a hindrance from who God is calling you to be with either.
Okay.
Right? Because I have seen some of those narratives floating around on social of like, if a woman has X amount of debt, that's a red flag, or you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, like I wouldn't marry that or whatever. And I don't really believe in that. Like I think like if you're being obedient and God has called you to marry a woman, then I look at it like, yo, if we coming into the marriage and you got 100K in debt, but I'm being obedient and I know that the Lord is calling me and you're my wife and you're the person I'm supposed to become one with.
Go ahead and hit me with it.
I'm thinking about like, okay.
God's gonna bless you.
God finna give me 100K to
so I can pay my wife's debt off.
Right. So I'm thinking of it in a way of like, okay, Lord, if I'm being obedient and I'm marrying you, and yes, you have this baggage and we've talked about it and we're aware, then I'm thinking like, okay, because of my obedience, all things will be added. So like, you're going to level me up. You're going to put me in a position through my obedience to take care of that. But I just think about how many men who have slashed relationships and women, or maybe even not been obedient to the person they thought just because they see this number, or they're looking at this debt that they must tackle. But like at that point, you're leaning into your own strength and you should be leaning into obedience. That's if that woman is for you, right? But yes, I definitely was feeling the pressure of student loans and I was ready to take on all of that.
Yes.
But I'm like, Lord, I'm carrying all of this. The bills are starting to be due. Like I know we moved from our hometown, and we can talk about that too. We moved to the city. We had an X amount of dollars to like keep us afloat for the, 3, 4, 5 months or whatever until we, got things going or the business started to pick up.
Yep.
It just wasn't happening fast enough. And I just stepped out of alignment, and that's why I would say like, yo, we have to surrender our marriage and stay in submission to God and what he had for us and has for us.
Because we were already on his path.
Yes, we were already on his path, but
our prayers
me
changed.
our prayers.
I just want to say it.
Go ahead and say it. You go ahead.
But our prayers changed.
He did.
God did not change.
Yep.
Our prayers changed. So here we are praying for a job.
Yep. Now we went from, Lord, bless this business, bless this company, bless like the writing and everything that we had going on. Like bless all these endeavors, bless our marriage in this way. We went from those prayers to, Lord, I just need a job. Bless this resume. Bless that somebody come hire me. And he didn't change. Our prayers changed. Full transparency, like I wasn't able to get work the entire term of your pregnancy.
God's humor is hilarious.
Right? So during that time, me thinking that, I'm about to take control and God, you ain't moving fast enough, so I'm about to go get me a job, I wouldn't even able to get a job. He wouldn't allow, I couldn't
The
get a job.
entire time of my
Right?
pregnancy.
And I got a decent resume at this point. I got experience. I got, whatever. I even went to like the warehouses. Like nothing was aligning for me. Like the most low end job to my dream job, like nothing in that period of time was aligning. And that time was very difficult for me because one, that humbled me, but two, like it showed me your character, because like during that time, like you never made me feel small. Like you never you never looked down on me. Like and God during that time blessed you
Yep.
with a role.
And I didn't know it then like I do now, but I was
Yep.
being a resourceful wife.
You were being
And
resourceful. You stepped up.
I think that was the first time where I was able to block out the opinions of, you shouldn't be working.
Yeah.
He should be working. And it's
Yeah.
like, I am more than capable to work, and
Yeah.
I am his wife.
Yeah.
So I am willing and able to support him in that way, especially if you were trying. I feel like there could be the misconception that you weren't trying at all. Because it was such a long time until you did get a job.
Yes.
So
And you saw, like, coming into the marriage, like you saw
your drive.
my drive. You saw my vision. I did have a vision. I think all men should definitely have a vision going into it.
Yep.
And you should submit that vision to God along with your marriage and that whole nine. So you saw it, but it just wasn't coming into fruition fast enough. But it started with me. I take full accountability. Like, it started with me. I had to live off of your income for that. That was uncomfortable.
It was okay. You was a stay-at-home dad, though.
Stay-at-home dad. Well, she wasn't born yet.
I know.
But yeah.
You know what I mean, though.
But it gave me time, and I just wish that I would have took that 9 months, 10 months, however long it was, to really focus on what God was saying, really reading my Bible, really studying, really praying, fasting, and trusting God with his, like, I wish I would have took that time to do that rather than obsessing over finding a job and making money. Because I shifted. I went from seeking God and his kingdom and what he had been doing in my life, even prior to us being married, to money, like protect. And I disguised it. I disguised it with, I'm just trying to provide. And the Bible does call us as men, like, to provide for our families. But I think I had, like, maybe I idolized it. Maybe I had, like,
As just providing financially?
yeah, maybe I had, like, made that the thing, and I just skipped over obedience, right? I think I made that the thing, and I skipped being obedient. So I was disguising that season as, like, yo, I'm just trying to provide. So, like, I got to do what I got to do. But it's like, if you just would have seeked God first, then he would have added all things. Like, if you would have stayed your course, your path. So, yeah. So we would tell ourselves in year one, and next episode, we'll go into details about boundaries. We'll go into the details.
Of how we even let people get all of in our marriage.
But we would definitely tell ourselves to stay submitted, and especially as men, like, one, come into the marriage with a vision, submit that vision, go before God with your woman, pray, and write the vision, seek his face, and submit the marriage and everything to him.
Trust him.
And then let him order your steps, and just walk in that, despite the outside noise, despite the pressures, despite what you're hearing or seeing, despite what's not moving fast enough, despite your pace, despite what you feel like you need in that moment, despite who calling your phone, asking for money and needing that whatever, like, despite all of that, like, just trust God's timing, trust his pace, and walk in that submission. And I think all things will be added.
All things will be added. I love that, honey.